Partner mine has 22.
That's weird. Okay. Um, we are going live right now. I think. Can you press play? All right. Hello, everyone. If you can see us, just getting used to this technology. Okay, so we are live. Is there any sound there, Cindy? Can we hear?
Oh.
Okay, we got sound. All right, so you can hit mute on there, and hello everyone. So you want to say introduction to everyone?
Hi everyone! Our first Facebook Live ever!
That's right. And we're a bit nervous because we're getting used to this technology and making it work. So we've been
Exactly.
playing around with the settings. So if you are on right now, say hello and let us know where you are in the comments and what time it is for you, because we'd love to know.
I know, because we just arrived in
Yeah.
Thailand and our clock has really changed a lot. Hey?
There you go.
So-
We're
Yeah.
in Bangkok. We just had breakfast this morning. If you're following our Instagram, you can see in our Instagram stories what we found for breakfast.
Exactly what we found this morning. And yeah, it was quite interesting, very different to what we normally have actually. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Hey, May's on. What's happening, May? Good to see you.
Yeah, man!
Woohoo! How is Cebu? Okay, so how can we do this? I think you have to click on there and go like that. Okay, then you should be able to see comments on the right hand side.
Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
so just give us a thumbs up and a heart or whatever it is. Heart if you're on. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Okay, so let's get into it. So this Q&A session is all about the art of financial intimacy. As you know or may know, we presented, we basically put together a guide on this, and it was an epic, like 7,000 word
Yeah, massive guide.
guide,
Oh my
which
gosh.
really talks about how to manage your money as an entrepreneur couple. And there's a whole bunch of really cool things in there. So if you haven't read it yet, take a screenshot of what you're seeing on the screen here. Go to that link and then read through the guide and ask any questions that you have to us. And if you have any questions right now, then go ahead and type your question into the comment below. What we're talking about is, how to manage your money as an entrepreneur couple, and any fears, concerns, challenges, processes, tools, anything that has to do with managing money and really, getting financially intimate. This is what this Q&A is all about. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Cindy, but too much coffee, soy milk this morning.
Hey, fresh, hot soy milk.
Speaking of which, that's the coffee that we got off the street for like 25 Thai baht. Random segue.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
also segue.
okay, so let's start with what is financial intimacy, and it's really, how would you define financial intimacy, Cindy?
I think for me is your relationship with money, really, to cut it really blunt, which I am quite a blunt person, aren't I?
Yes. and how you and your partner relates to money together as well.
As well, yes.
So it's your
as we talk about couples.
Yeah, so your individual, it's important to understand your individual, and we're going to get into that in a moment, relationship with money, but then the intimacy bit is about you together, talking about and managing finances as a couple, okay? And so we shared in the free guide, we shared some statistics around this, and it's really shocking, like something like 60% of there's a survey done with thousands of divorcees, and something like 60% of them said that it's because of finances that their relationship fell apart. Okay, so and a lot of it has to do with them not being able to communicate effectively about money, not acknowledging or understanding each other's spending or patterns or money patterns, and then not having adequate systems to really manage those finances, right? And we're not even talking about entrepreneurs. These are just regular
General,
couples.
yeah.
Okay, so when we talk about entrepreneurs, it's believed that the divorce rate is actually higher because there's much more stress when when at least one person in a relationship is trying to build a business, right? So if you have a question on this topic, please go ahead, type it in the comment below. If you're watching the replay, that's fine. Just put a hashtag FC replay into the comments, so that way we know that you're watching a replay.
Yes.
But
and
go
then
ahead.
we can reply to you as well anyhow.
Yeah, we will check back on it and reply to you, whether it's live right now or on the replay. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's switch back to the questions. Do we have any questions on at the moment? Not yet. That's fine.
No, not yet.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we already had some questions posted to us by our community, our FC Lab. That's a private Facebook group we have. And so we're going to go through a couple of those right now. Okay. What is Cindy doing?
Show me our money.
Show me the money.
Money relationship. Exactly.
Oh my god. And if you answer the questions correctly, you'll get...
Which part?
yeah,
Which color do you like? Green, red, purple, or brown?
20 Thai baht. So here we are like a gazillionaire. But in Australia, this is not a lot. Anyway, okay, so
Okay.
let's go to the questions. Okay, first question we had was this one, Cindy.
So the question is, I don't know. I don't like dealing with finances. It scares me. Growing up, money was scarce. What can I do? So that is the question there.
Okay, how would you answer that question? Or how would you address that fear? So the fear here is around finances. They don't like dealing. This person doesn't like dealing with finances because when they grew up, they didn't have a lot of money in the family. I actually had that experience myself growing up. So my parents, family are from Laos. We visited there recently last April, and we literally went to the village where my father and his family grew up, and as well as my mother's village as well.
Oh yes,
yeah.
We found out a lot of history.
Yep. So very, very, poor. Like there's not a lot going on in that village. Farmers, cattle, ox, a river that people swam in. That you had fun by going to the river.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they didn't really learn. There weren't people around like financial planners that didn't exist. There wasn't really anyone to advise them on how to spend and save and invest money. Okay, and I therefore grew up with the same beliefs and money patterns that my parents had, and my grandparents. I suspect my grandparents had as well.
Yes.
And then Cindy came from a. Were you going to share your story?
Well, I think my family is from what I heard, my dad's side is pretty well off. My mum's side is actually farmers, but my mum was always an entrepreneur. In the market, she was always finding ways to make money efficiently. So, and we were all savers, but the problem is we never had education on investing. So I think that's where I don't have that problem because I actually surpassed that and educated myself on that. So that's the background of my family.
Okay, so assuming that this person has fear around even just talking about money,
Yeah.
right? So this is going to come up in their relationship because they're not going to want to have those conversations with their husband or their wife on this topic. So what would your recommendation be for this person to be able to get the confidence to even talk about money?
So first of all, you have to think about money yourself. Why are you scared of it? So you look within and ask yourself, am I like lacking, or is it because someone else is mirroring that on us, on me? So if your answer is that I'm doing okay, I can look after myself, I have some savings and things like that, your mindset is not bad. It's just that you still have that thought that your grandparents or your parents has passed on to you. So all you need to do is just remember that's the case and create that space for yourself first to accept that, and then you can talk to your spouse afterwards. But you have to do it yourself first. If you're not comfortable with the actual conversation with yourself, then it's harder to be comfortable, talking to someone. And then, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that's important here is, if you have money, like you want to set some clear money goals for yourself and for your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a really good exercise that Cindy and I went through. We've done it a few times, and we revised every quarter, if not sooner, and really, so we've got a free workbook as part of. If you listen to this, we're gonna share a link to you in a moment, where you can actually go and download basically a PDF that Cindy has put together, which will take you through the steps of setting clear vision and goals around money, finances with your spouse, okay, or your partner. If you're not married, that's fine. But that's a really good exercise to go through. So I recommend you go and grab that workbook, download it, and actually use it to help you have those conversations. Like, it's a really wonderful exercise to dream and set goals with your partner. Like, that's something that's,
Yes.
so you're on the same page. And also you want to set your own personal goals around what are the things that you want to do that might not involve your partner, right? So we have individual goals, and we also have combined goals, okay? And it's important to identify those and talk about them with each other.
Yeah, you definitely do need your own individual goal. It makes it worthwhile for you as well. Since you're growing, your partner needs to grow as well.
Yeah. So another thing I'd suggest you do is to, if you're in a situation, is to think about how can you really improve your financial intimacy and your relationship and your communication if you're not willing to talk about your fears. Like if that stuff is really scaring you, then you really, a good person to turn to is your partner who loves you and cares about you, and maybe they don't have those similar fears, or maybe they do, but if you never have the conversation, you can't really work through those issues, and grow together. And this is really what, for us, it's been a learning process.
Definitely growth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about growth.
Growth keeps the relationship alive.
Absolutely, right? And you want to grow together in the same direction, right?
Exactly.
So when couples don't, talk about these things together, that's when problems arise. Especially when, let's use some example. Say one partner, wants to go on to some, I don't know, some work function or out with their friends or whatever it is, and there's a cost of, maybe they want to buy a new toy, right? So a new computer, a new whatever it may be, and if the other person in the relationship isn't able to communicate that they're not happy with that for whatever reason, or they have other priorities for the money, then that's going to create conflict naturally, right?
Yes.
And you'd rather not have this situation. Like in our research for the guide, what we found was, it's actually not uncommon for one partner to make to buy things and actually hide it from their spouse because of the guilt and the fear and the shame of them being caught out. But and that's not a really good behavior to have in a relationship. You have to, if you're hiding purchases, right? So it's about transparency, and it is, there's a joke we put in the guide at the beginning of the guide, which is, you have to get financially naked with your partner, and,
Exactly.
and that takes.
You can do that physically as well if you want.
Well,
but yeah, just a
yeah.
thought.
We haven't had the money conversation naked, so I don't know about that. But yeah,
Well,
that's something
yeah,
you can definitely
let's
try.
Stick
So
it
here
on,
we go. All right. So if you're watching this, if you had this come up for you before for your partner, let us know. Let us know how you dealt with that and what tips you might have for our community member here and anyone who's watching this this replay. Okay. So let's go on to the next question. Did you have anything else to add on that, Cindy?
Not at the moment, no. When it comes to me, I will add.
Okay. Cool. All right. So the next question we had was this one, Cindy.
So the question is, we share our earnings very freely with each other, and this person wants to know if that is an okay thing to do.
What do you think?
I think it's definitely okay. I really definitely think it's okay. But you gotta know your own spouse very well as well. You know, if you guys share things together and also are quite open and honest, then that's a great conversation, and you learn a lot about each other in that way. But if you know that your spouse has that traditional mindset, especially if it's a male, we still have that kind of what do I call it, society thing, right? What do you call that, babe?
Expectation.
Maybe, yeah, the expectations that the male in between you guys, the girl and the guy.
So like the
What's that
traditional
called?
male is the breadwinner,
Yes.
and the
So
yeah.
if you share that earnings and your earning as a female is higher, it kind of maybe might hurt their ego or something. What do you call that?
Yeah, ego.
Yeah, but
That's why I don't have any hair anymore, because Cindy makes more money than me. Except today, because today I am loaded. Check this out, people.
Hey, it's mine. Basically, what's ours? What's yours is mine.
There you go.
What's mine is yours.
But that's a very good point you raise, and it's really, there's a section in the guide we talk about is who understand who is the chief financial officer in the relationship.
Exactly.
The person who really has the better knowledge around finances and can track it, and can also talk about make the key decisions. Both partners are involved, obviously, in the conversation. I love this question about, or this practice of sharing earnings freely with each other, because I think it's, again, when you enter into a serious committed relationship, it's not about yours or mine. It's actually we and ours.
Exactly.
Now, we do have, so just to give you sort of insight into our own sort of practice, we do have a money allocation system, which we share in our workbook as well as in the guide.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, we actually have a percentage allocated of the money that we earn that goes into separate, like an Anne bank account and a Cindy bank account.
Exactly.
For discretionary spend. And that could be for your own, so spending on things that really we don't have to go to each other to get approval for. Like that's like, maybe if I want to go and buy more coffee or whatever, I don't really need to have to go to Cindy and say, hey baby, can I buy more coffee? Like that's
hey babe, I want to buy something secret.
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Yeah, or even like
a surprise, for your spouse.
That too,
or something
right?
like
Because that would be weird. Like, could you give me $100 so I could buy your birthday present?
I want to surprise you, but I haven't got money, so
Yeah.
allocated to this.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
we have.
yeah, and that point that you made, Cindy, about understanding your partner's beliefs around their role in the relationship, so whether they believe they are or should be the breadwinner, whether it's male or female. Now with our genders getting more structures getting different now, it's actually, I wouldn't be surprised if the woman made more money now, right? But there is still, of course, there's a whole other conversation about gender imbalance and gender equity, and women not still getting paid as men are getting paid. So I definitely don't agree with that. I think that if you're doing the work and capable, you should be paid just as much as the male counterpart. So that's really a different discussion. But I think, to your point, it's really about, let's have a conversation around, well, who is the breadwinner? And that can change too. I'll give you an example. For us, when we started, I had a full-time job when we started dating, and so did Cindy. And then when I started my business, then we were leaning on Cindy's savings and her income, and then that switches around. And so it depends on your personal
Life
situations.
is about us.
Yes, exactly, and you're supporting
Not
each
you
other,
or me.
and you're making you're talking about what's coming and where is the income coming from and who's making that income at any point in time. For example, another example is, if Cindy were to have a baby, then I would not expect her to be working full time while she has to raise the baby, right? So then that naturally goes to me being the breadwinner during that phase of our life together. So great question, and anything else you wanted to add on that one?
Yeah, I think that's all you need to do is know your spouse a bit better in regards to that kind of gender imbalance. But other than that, I think really sharing your earnings freely to each other is such a great barrier to overcome.
And we actually would recommend you do that as a regular. If you're not already doing it, do it as a regular habit. And we have a money date that we do on a monthly basis, and we actually review our finances together. And like our whole process is in this free workbook that we'll share with you in a moment. You can go download that and actually use that to have those conversations. And so, sort of, this is a great topic because we're going to segue into the next thing, which is all about what are the conversations. One question I had on LinkedIn was, well, what conversations should I be having with my partner, right? If we schedule time to have a money date, what do we talk about on this money date, right? So
Exactly.
there are actually 7. There's actually more, but we put down a list of 7 common topics called conversation topics you might want to have during this discussion. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so here are 7 essential money conversations to have with your spouse. And by the way, before we jump into that, if you do have any questions that come to mind right now, go ahead, put it in the comments. That way we can answer them once we go through this couple of slides. All right, so let's go to it. Cindy, let's start with number 1.
This is what my money looks like. Where are we now?
Okay, so that's really all about as individuals, all right, and as a couple. Well, what is your financial status? Okay, so what are your how many, even right down to what are your bank accounts that you have, what savings do you have, what assets you might have, things like this. So you really just saw Michelle. Hey Michelle, good to see you.
Exactly.
So Cindy, if you didn't know, Michelle was my old boss when I did the sales role in Toronto.
Oh really? Wow, Michelle.
And she's
we could talk.
A tremendous entrepreneur and just kicking butt with her talks and things that she's doing right now. Inspiring as always. Love your work. Okay, so we're back to the topic number 1. Okay, where are we now? So that's just really a status update to understand where we are at as a couple, and that's a really good conversation starter, on your money date to talk about. Okay, so number 2, Cindy.
Income or cash flow. So where is the money coming from?
Okay, do you want to sort of how do we have that conversation, or what are some things you can talk about there?
So basically, for that, we create a spreadsheet, and we needed to know what kind of income sources we have, either from a salary or from passive income or any other things that we can think of. And that kind of determines the money come in, which is the cash inflow.
That's right.
So there's a cash outflow as well. Okay, it's good. I have this part. I have this one.
Okay, so for example, I run a business where we basically write articles and content for small businesses. So we have income coming through from our clients on that. So that's one income stream source, right? So what's another income source?
Another income source is maybe from your affiliate programs.
Okay, so if you're doing the online business thing, you might have affiliate sales, which we do. So we get on a monthly basis, we get income from some software that is just selling. People go to our website, they click on this link, they buy the software, and we get a commission from that on a monthly basis. Another thing is if one partner has a job, so say Cindy has a part-time job or a full-time job, that's another income stream. Okay, so now we've got 3 income streams, and these things add up, right, in our bank accounts, and then we distribute those based on a bucket system that we use, right? So income and cash flow. So where is your money coming from, right? So you might have inheritance coming down the line. You might have other shares. Cindy's got some shares.
Yes.
And we also have some money in cryptocurrency, which I'm really afraid to check right now. Anyways, the whole point is really just understanding where are your cash flows coming, and if you are, so for sometimes we have contracted work. So if you're only with a client, like Cindy had a client for a month or something.
Yes.
So so we can project, okay, in that month you're going to make X amount of dollars, and then the following month we won't have that income anymore. So we have to find other ways to make up that income, or we don't spend as much, right? So that's that one. Okay, let's go to money conversation number 3.
Spending and budgeting. Oh my. What are your spending priorities? Hey.
All right, so this is really. I wonder if Sarah is watching this because one of our members, Sarah, she wrote a book about budgeting, and it's kind of like the anti-budgeting book because she found for her and her partner creating a budget created a lot of stress for them, and they actually found for them a better system of budgeting which worked for them. But this is definitely a conversation you want to have. It's just really to understand what your spending priorities are. Okay, so obviously you've got your rent and or you've got your mortgage, whatever your monthly expenses are, your groceries, your kids, your education, whatever it is. When we were in Montreal, we had we paid for public transport, so we had a monthly pass and that sort of thing.
Yes.
In Sydney as well.
Yes.
So, and just really working out, well, what are the spending priorities, okay? And then what are there any other sort of spending priorities that you can think of?
Well, for me, I think as long as you know, like, what's your budget, you can just allocate it, like if you're on a holiday, to like how many days. And that's what I did, and make sure, but you can go over and under, but if it's within the same amount, it's fine. And I always have spare just in case, but that's the budget always.
Yeah.
And priorities is basically your rent, accommodation, flights. This is for us, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So and food, really.
We eat a lot.
Yeah, according to our spreadsheets,
There you
we eat like a queen and king.
There you go. And then so also when we go into the buckets in the guide, we won't do it in this particular Q&A, but unless someone really wants to know them right now, but there are other things like savings and saving up for trips and holidays. For us, it's flights. Whatever other expenses you might have, if you are you have something that you an anniversary gift for yourselves, whatever it may be. So you want to allocate a percentage of your finances to that, and then this really comes back to what we said earlier: is you have to define what your goals are for your finances. Like, what do you want to do with your money apart from your monthly living expenses?
Yep.
Is there anything else? Yeah, anything else that you want to do? Or
I
education?
want to go to that Awesomeness Fest.
Awesomeness Fest, which is a conference, personal growth. So that's another thing, like for growing yourself as an individual. Like, you want to go to retreats, you want to go and do some, you want to buy some programs, whatever it is. You want to budget that as well, and just if you don't put a priority on it, then it gets very hard to realize those dreams because
Exactly.
you're gonna find the money somewhere, right? Okay, so let's go to number 4.
So I just want to say hi, Maria.
Oh, hey,
Hi,
Maria!
John.
So we're really sad that we missed you in Toronto, Maria, because I love you so much, and I'm like, I want to see you and you guys to connect, but it didn't happen. So we'll
Next
have to.
time, don't worry.
We'll
We're
probably
still around.
we can still jump on Skype or Facebook Live together
Yes.
and chat that way.
Well, she does have a question, so.
Okay,
Does
well,
she have a question?
is that a question? Well, we'll come back to that. So,
Yes, okay.
and I know that Michelle said something there in the bottom there as well.
Yes, I saw it.
What was that?
So basically, she wants to advertise you onto her site.
Okay. Oh, awesome, Michelle. Well, let's definitely have a chat about that, and maybe we can do a presentation for your group and your community. And we'd love to have you come and teach some awesome sales and entrepreneur skills to our community as well, because like you're one of the best, really confident, power people out there that I know. Definitely love that you're on here as well, and awesome to hear from you. Okay, so let's get to number 4, Cindy. And
So number 4 is savings. What are you saving towards? I think we touched on that just previously, didn't we?
yeah, we just talked about that. So if you're watching this, or what's one goal that you're saving towards? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what's that one thing that you want to.
So what's your saving, mate?
Yeah, what's that one
What's
thing you
the
want?
goal?
What do you want to happen in the next 12 months that you really want to save money towards? For us, it's going to be more trips to different locations.
Yeah.
So that's
And that Awesomeness Fest, is it?
yeah. So and perhaps we setting out an intention for 2020 World Domination Summit in Portland.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So
already.
and perhaps Burning
No
Man as
idea.
well. So if anyone wants to come and join us on those, let us know because we'd love to have you there. Okay, so let's go to number 5. Cindy.
Number 5, debt management. What existing debt do we need to pay off, and what are we expecting in the new ones? Oh, I remember I got shocked with this one, didn't I?
Okay. So this is really talking about debt, and you know, you want to talk about your money coming in, your cash flows, and your income. You also want to talk about your money that is your regular debt repayments and things that you're paying off. So I had some prior debt coming into our relationship, which, like Cindy said, it shocked her when she found out about those. But they went back to even when I went to university and I got student debt. Right, so
Lucky I didn't.
I paid off my HECS, which is in Australia. It's our higher education something system, basically a loan from the government to go and study.
Higher education scheme.
There you go, which has been renamed now. But
Of course, yes.
I paid it off within 2 years of me leaving university and graduating.
So that debt is finalized.
Yeah, but then I do have other debt, personal loan debt that we
Exactly.
are taking care of. Okay.
Yes.
But you want to be transparent about that. You don't want to surprise your partner when they see, okay, you know, this, you know, $200 this month or whatever just disappeared into the void, and then you have to explain, oh, that's because I have a loan that I'm paying off, and you want to really just have a conversation around that. But also, what new debts are you expecting? Okay, so are you taking on?
Maybe in future we might have an investment property.
Right.
So you can look at that and plan for that.
Okay, yeah, and so that's the thing. The more you can plan, then you also can work out how much extra additional income you might need to create in order to be able to pay off these things.
Yes, to reduce stress.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, there you go. So,
oh well, so we got Maria. She said she's more interested in hearing more about a spending plan.
Okay, cool. Well, we will cover that sort of. Let's finish off these 7 points, and then we can come back and talk about that. But I think what we'll do is, best thing you can do, Maria, is grab the workbook that we'll put a link to it in a moment, that you can go and actually download that and have a look at the actual structure for that spending plan. And it's a couple of things. It's your goals first, so working out what your goals are as a couple and as individuals, and then from there working out your spending plan from there. And we use this system that we learned from a really cool dude by the name of T. Harv Eker, and we'll go into that. We also have a podcast episode about that specific spending plan coming up in a couple of weeks. Okay, so we are at number 6, Cindy.
Shared or separate bank account. Oh, which one do you want, eh?
Okay, so why is it important to discuss this?
Because as a couple, you need to know where your finances is, and you also need to know or agree on what bank accounts you want. So you can say, oh, I want my own separate bank account for my personal spending, which we have for our individual allocation. But all the money or income that we have goes into our shared account. So that's the reason why we have that. So you have to discuss that with your spouse, your partner, what you want for, the accounts to match.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And something I want to sort of raise on this is I'm all about empowering women to be financially independent, independent of their spouse, because, knock on wood, all our relationships work out really well and we're together for a lifetime, and that's beautiful. The reality is there's a lot of couples that don't survive that. Okay, and the statistics tell us something like 60% of couples will end up not together after a number of years. So you just don't want to be in a situation where you have a shared bank account, but you don't have your own finances, or you're not working on your own financial independence and understanding your financial values and
that's financial intimacy.
That's it, right? So I guess the key here is, yes, you do want to grow together, and we work on the understanding, the premise that we are growing together and that we're in it for the long term. Like, this is not
the word forever.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And at the same time,
did I just scare someone off?
At the same time, we also came in with our own. We had personal bank accounts, separate bank accounts before we were a couple, and then we created a shared account. So we have our shared finances working through those accounts. Okay, so that's number 6. Let's go to the last one, which is number 7.
This entrepreneur ventures. How much of our own money do we need to invest into a business exactly, and Time frame. Oh, I remember this discussion.
Okay, tell us about it.
So basically, we decided for
One
you
year.
to quit a job.
So I was working full time, and then we decided that I would quit my job because the stress level was intense and I couldn't handle it,
Exactly.
and it was affecting our relationship. So Cindy encouraged me to leave my full time role to concentrate on the business, and we gave it, was it 1 year,
Oh,
6 months?
I gave you 1 year, but since your energy was still up after 1 year, I gave you extra.
Okay. And so this is about, okay, if one person is an entrepreneur or both have businesses or joint businesses, your structure might be different to ours. But you really want to be clear about expectations around this. So how long do you think, talking to the entrepreneur here, how long do you think your business will it take before your business actually makes money and that you're making a profit and you're paying yourself? Okay, so these are things that they need to be clear on, and I know that's not always easy to answer from day one, and it's a process to work it out. Okay, and I would tell you the first year that I ran my business, I was making zero. The business was making money, but all money was going back into the business, and I did not make a salary from it. Okay, and now that was very stressful for my back then my fiance, right?
Was it?
Yeah, because that was
Oh, really?
when we got engaged, and we had a wedding to save up for, which is why we basically had the conversation around this, and then I said, okay, I'm going to go get a part-time job so we can save money and relieve some of that stress, and so I could also contribute to the wedding, and not have it all relied on my soon-to-be wife. Okay, and so I did that, but that's now you got to be real around that. Your business isn't going to be profitable within a year. Now, here's a reality check for a lot of people. This is what I learned from one of my mentors. Whatever you think the time frame is going to be, realistically, it's probably going to be double or 3 times that time frame for it to happen. Okay, so you think it's going to be 1 year. Allocate 3 years to really make it happen, unless you're an experienced entrepreneur. If you're a first-time entrepreneur and you're just starting a business, then yeah, this is the reality check. Okay. Of course, you want your business to be profitable from day one, and we've got Michelle on the line here, so I think Michelle could really comment on this one. But a lot of businesses work with the entrepreneurs, start off with the mindset of, actually, I'm not going to get paid for the first couple of years, because that's just what you do. You reinvest in the business. But I tell you what, if you're doing that, that creates tremendous stress for not only for you, but for your partner if you're in a relationship, right? Because they're gonna, you can only rely on one person's income for so long before they start to feel resentment, unless you really have clear communication lines around this. Okay, and then another question is, how much of our personal money do we need to invest into the business? Okay, so if one way we always self-fund our businesses. We didn't have any outside investors or take any loans or anything like that.
Exactly.
And that's something that you can do. And I actually would encourage you, if you're starting a business, to look at those different ways of funding a business. But certainly, you need to consider that, because it's a personal investment. And if we're going to require now that my partner is also investing her cash into the business, then she's going to have we want to know, well, when do I get the return on that? How long? What's the expectations
like a
around
normal
that?
shareholder, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, right? So Maria's made a comment here about launching a business and
So she's saying with a money plan.
yeah.
So yeah, well, in an example, how many months of savings do you need to have, right? Is one
Right.
question.
Okay.
And as many as you calculate, your business will need to start making money.
Yeah, so, and that's why something I learned from one of my mentors is you want to have at least 6 months of your income saved up. So say you have a job and you want to have at least 6 months worth of savings in your bank account. So that's kind of like the savings that you're going to live off, because in that first 6 months you're not making any money. And if you can't get your business to make money within the first 6 months, I really question your ability to be able to do that afterwards, because your momentum, you start losing momentum. You start to get concerned about whether or not this is going to work.
Yeah.
You haven't found your product market fit, and these different things. And so I would really be pushing yourself to try and get profitable as soon as possible, and structure your pricing. This is another different conversation, but pricing is a huge one for a lot of us solo entrepreneurs, is to really ask for the right pricing from your potential clients and customers, because a lot of us, when we start out, we undervalue ourselves and underprice ourselves. I definitely went through that, and it was actually thanks to Cindy, who actually encouraged me to actually really work on that part of myself, so I would be asking for fair rates. And you got to remember that when you're running your own business, you're not getting a lot of the benefits you get when you're in full-time employment, right? So you don't have 501ks, or in Australia we call it superannuation. You don't get annual leave payments and these sort of things that we take for granted when we have a job. So you actually have to factor that into your pricing when you're asking for your clients to pay you. All right, so that's something that's really important. 1 year of savings is a minimum 6 months, Maria. Back to Maria's question, I would say you want to have at least 6 months, but 1 year is even better. Okay, that just gives you the space to be creative. And something that I personally experience is when you are so stressed out about the money and whether or not your business is making money, it really limits your ability to be creative and do the work that you want to do with your business, like to be there to serve your clients.
Exactly.
And then that just you're creating this pattern, extra stress, and this pattern and cycle of terrible energy going out, and you can't serve your clients well, and therefore they don't want to work with you anymore. Therefore, it's harder for you to get new clients, and it's a spiral downwards. All right, so it's important that you have the money side working with you, and your partner. If your partner is the one who's got a job or whatever, or we're living off her savings or his savings, then that's fine. You just make sure that you're clear about that, and you're clear to them when you expect the business to make money, or whether or not you need to go and get a loan. Okay. All right, let's go. We've got some questions now from the live chat.
Michelle asked, how do you decide what's an expense versus what's an investment?
Okay.
Great question.
Let's. I'm gonna defer that question to the financial accountant here with the finance background, so she can really. We're gonna go to that in a moment, but yes, go ahead, Cindy. So the question from Michelle: how do you decide what's an expense versus what's an investment?
So basically, for me, an expense is something that doesn't return the money. So if you put money in like $40, right? You need to get it back. If not, that's an expense. That's just a simple example.
Yeah.
So anything investment is, so when you put in 40, you get more.
If you double your investment, that's brilliant.
Exactly. We did 4 times the investment once.
But I think Michelle might be going to more specific, like capital, capital investment into a company. Like, if you have a company car that you can claim, right? During tax time, or whether you can claim depreciation on it or on the asset.
Well, it depends. I think you really need to do your maths. There's a lot of methods there. There's a kilometer methods, and there's what do you call it? That
like a depreciation schedule or something.
Yeah, there is a schedule, but there's 2 methods that I can remember that you can use the kilometers for.
So you really want to talk to an accountant, is what you're saying?
Exactly. You need to talk to an accountant, but from what I remember, that's the thing for kilometers. But as I said, the basic simple of any principle for to distinguish between expenses and investment. So it's just that if you put in the money and the hours, it doesn't even have to be money. It can be hours as well. Your time. If you're spending like 10 hours just for a $5, I don't think that's an expense, right?
Yeah. So
see, it's that simple.
Yeah. So really, it's a question of what is return on that investment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And if it's to us, the way we sort of define it is if money is going out and there is no return on that, that's not an investment, right? That's an expense. And then if you want to, if you put it out and then you get some kind of percentage return, then that becomes an investment, right? We mentioned like an affiliate income before. So we invested in the tool, we purchased the tool to learn it, and we actually use it in our business. Okay, and then we get a commission from sales from any referrals of that tool. Okay, that to us is an investment, right? But it actually, from an accounting point of view, if we go into like we use Xero for our bookkeeping, if you go into the bookkeeping tool, then that would be listed as an expense because there's no investment. Like when you're doing bookkeeping, there's no investment thing, right? You can't track investment in there.
Well, I think for investments like those, I'll say.
Like your computer, what about your computer? Is that an expense or is that an investment for the business?
Well, I say it's both, right? So if you need a computer for your to run a business, then that is an investment. But if your computer needs fixing every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, and the fixing and repairing cost is like surpass the computer, then that's an expense, really. So yeah, you have to think of both ways. If you think of the lifetime of a computer is only a few years, really max, and then you can get that get a new one. But I think from memory or there's new laws change for laptops purchase now. It can be, I think it was 100% now deductible, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, don't quote me on that, but I vaguely remember that.
And you need
That's
to
recent. But you also need to see your accountant to confirm all those information for your own situation. Every situation is different.
Yeah, and the laws are different, obviously, in Australia and in Canada, different countries, different laws. Even different states have different laws around these things. Maria's talking about, so for an Airbnb property, right? So it's not so clear because your property, so you're renting a property or you own the property and then you're renting a room out for Airbnb or for a tenant. That could be viewed as an investment, but also it could be an expense.
Yeah, well, just think of this way, right? If you have a property that's $100 and you have 2 bedroom, when you want to lease out 1 bedroom, well, just half everything, and if your income coming in for Airbnb for that one room covers the charge, it's a break even. If it gives you more, then it's an investment.
Yeah.
If it's less, because you have to do all the cleaning, expensive cleaning, all that stuff, and renovation, then it's an expense. So you have to, for all those property and those kind of businesses, you need to really calculate the expenses and the time as well. Not only the money, but the time you put in it as well.
Yeah, and because we're talking Airbnb right now, you have to also look at your local government laws around Airbnb specifically, whether that's legal or not. We're not going to get into that, but
yes.
That's something we definitely recommend you check out. But we're talking about traditional property investment. Like even if you have like a room in your property you're using as an office, okay, certainly in New South Wales where we're from, we can actually claim that percentage of usage of time in our home, that home office, as an expense or as an investment cost. So there's again, that's an accounting question, but definitely these are the things you want to consider. And while Cindy is a trained accountant, this is not a financial. We're not. It's very contextual.
Just giving general advice.
This is general advice,
and it's just from my experience and from our experience.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to. Well, I hope that answers your question, Michelle, and
your question, Maria.
Maria as well. So thanks for your comments as well. I'm loving this engagement. Okay, so
thank you so much.
All right, so now we had one question here, which is, how can I talk about money without my partner? How can I talk about money with my partner without arguing? Okay. And this is a real big part of financial intimacy because it's about both your personal beliefs and patterns around money, and whether you grew up in a family that was very transparent, your parents were always talking about money with you or not. My parents were not like that. They were very closed around money, so therefore I was not very comfortable talking about money because it's like just something we don't do. Just our families don't do that. Whereas Cindy's had a different experience. I guess I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
No, I talk about money to my mom quite a lot, so it's pretty normal for us.
Yeah, but anyway, the whole thing is it can be a very emotional topic, and therefore you have to learn the ways to do it productively. All right. So we have some tips here, which is also in our guide.
Yep.
Let's take a look at those. Let's see. Okay. So Cindy, do you want to go through these?
So, how to talk to your partner about money? So, without fighting, of course. So, which part do you want? This is a test.
Okay. I want this part.
Oh, gee, you're so good. I have the most expensive part.
There
You
go.
see, choices, life choices.
Yeah. But a few key notes here is, let's start with the top one.
So, the first key note is approach the conversation carefully. So, yes, if your partner is a fun, loving person, do what I just did. Play around with real or fake money. This is real money, people. But yeah,
But you really want to be practice empathy here and really
exactly.
like understand where they're coming from, how they're feeling, are they getting tense, are they relaxed about it. We do a money date where we actually, when we were in Sydney, we would go to a cafe once a month, actually sit and have a nice meal, coffee, whatever it is. And so we're not in our home and like, where we associate with our normal living. We actually went out and it's an enjoyable experience. And then we had our spreadsheet up or our workbook up and we went through that together. And it just gives you a nice structure to have the conversation with. We just shared 7 different conversations you can have. And, you can just really work through that list, right? But you also want to just be conscious of how the other person is reacting to certain things. If they are like me, I would get tense. Cindy would pick up on that and she would actually call it out. She'd actually say, look, I can feel, I can see that you're tense here, right? And then that's a good reminder, for me to, okay, I need to breathe here and just like understand what's coming up for me, and then talk about that emotion, like what is coming up for me, what's going on there, right? And that leads to us feeling closer to each other because we can actually talk about that stuff that's emotional. Okay.
Yes.
Tip number 2 here is to show, don't tell. Okay, and this is an example of this is sometimes if your partner's not ready to have the conversation or you're not ready to conversation, if you're not ready to have the conversation around money, one thing you can do is actually demonstrate specific behaviors that you would like them to do. All right. So if, for example, if you were taking some of your money and putting into a savings account, all right, you can actually show that to them that you're doing that. Okay, so you're valuing. So this is Cindy. What are you doing there? You're modeling husband giving money to the wife. Is that what you're doing?
Hey, I'm giving them money, so wife giving money.
Okay, thank you.
But it's both ways. You see that? It's
Yeah.
both ways. We give each other.
And like, so you can actually do like model those behaviors. Something that Cindy has very sneakily done from the beginning of our relationship is actually is getting me into the habit of paying for things. So she would actually give me the wallet and just like, go and pay for it.
Which I already put money in.
Yeah. So, and that's really modeling that behavior. And so, which might sound funny, but
It works. Trust
It
me.
works. It does, right?
Ask him.
But it is, if you want them to invest in get into investments like shares or property or whatever it may be, then you start allocating some money into investments and then start showing the returns to your partner. Okay, so and then that way they can see the benefit of that investment, right? But if you never do it, it's very hard for them if they're not financially minded to follow you. Okay,
Exactly.
so that's number 2. Number 3, Cindy.
So you need to pay attention to how you say it. My darling.
Oh my gosh, we're actually role modeling here.
No.
Yeah, but what's that about?
So basically, when you say things in a certain tone, people can interpret different ways. And so when you say in a softer tone or a more caring tone and, more attentive, it shows that person that, you care instead of like using accusations or demands kind of tone. Because even though you don't say it and you don't use the words in that is anger and all that, but your tone shows a lot. Like, hey, Basically, there is your tonal.
There you go. Definitely, it's pay attention to the tone, but also your body language, how you're expressing, beyond just the words. And you go.
Yeah.
So number 4 is communicate effectively, and this is practicing different ways to communicate. We set, for example, you want to set rules or let's call them guidelines around how you communicate with each other. Like if things are going to get heated potentially, then you have an agreement that you're not going to call each other names and never attack each other, because you want to be on the same. You're on the same page. You're part of the same team, working towards the same goals. So really, there's no point of getting into name calling and raising your voice really loudly. We've had moments where that's happened. Not the name calling,
And so
but
what I asked,
yeah.
if you can see it, what is this?
That's called a hug. It's an embrace. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, whenever one of us gets upset, or when I get upset, Cindy likes to basically hold my hand or to hold me, and that way that calms me down. And thank you, baby. That's just learning communication, practicing communication skills, and this is even outside of finances. This is great stuff to learn for just communicating with your partner.
Exactly.
Okay, which is why it does help develop intimacy beyond the finances. And there's something that we talked about in the guide is that this strong and great financial intimacy actually leads to better sexual intimacy.
Exactly.
It actually brings you closer, and it's interesting how that works, right? So. Okay, we've pretty much wrapped up the how to talk to your partner about money without fighting. You have any other tips and questions around that, please let us know. I think we already answered that question.
No, I think we're over time.
We've still got 4 minutes to go, so we're gonna just show you where you can get the workbook we mentioned here.
Oh yes, that's true.
All right. So if you do have a question, put a comment below. But here's our free financial goals for couples kit. In there, you can get. What you'll get is a financial goals for couples workbook, complete with exercises you can do with your partner. There's also a link to a Google Sheet, a money allocation spreadsheet, which is what we use to allocate our money when it comes in and hits our bank accounts. Then we actually determine what categories we want to allocate the money to, and then we actually do that through using the spreadsheet. Okay, and then we've set up bank accounts to mirror what's on the spreadsheet. And then you also get, once you go and download that, you'll basically receive our weekly entrepreneur and relationship tips in your inbox. Here's the link below. Just go to foundersconnect.co/money guide and go ahead and grab that now, and you can actually go through and work on these processes that we've talked about in this particular Q&A.
Yeah,
okay?
Try it out.
And let us know how you go, like what you think of the workbook, and actually have your money date with partner, and then we'd love to hear from you, like how it helps you, and whether we can improve it or not, let us know. Okay, so go ahead. I'll show it to you one more time. So that's the link there. Go and grab that now, and that's it. We're going to wrap up here. So thank you everyone for joining in and listening. If you're watching replay again, go ahead and put questions in below, and we can definitely respond to you there and within our group. So just letting you know what's coming up next. Our podcast is launching real soon on iTunes and on Stitcher. We're really excited about that. So we're going to talk about all things, entrepreneur and couples, and also sustainable living, which is something that both of us are passionate about.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to be interviewing experts, relationship coaches, psychologists, money people, entrepreneurs, and people who are running some really cool sustainable projects out there, like the Green School in Bali. So we still have to line up the interviews. If you know someone there that you can connect us to, let us know. But other than that, thanks for joining in. We will be doing another Facebook Live Q&A same time next week, and we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. And we're going to talk about a different topic every week. So if you actually have a topic you want us to talk about in the Q&A, let us know in the comments, and we will go ahead and work on that with you. Okay, this is Anthony.
Cindy?
We are Founders Connect, and we will see you real soon.
Okay. Ciao.